After our long hiatus, the gurus are back, and we decided for our first video back, why not take a look at Love Island's halfway point of the season? We're talking Love Island USA, Mike, Theo, I am X, and guys, we have been like caged animals wanting to talk about this the last few weeks while I've been away. And it's gotten to the point where we had some positive things to say early on the season. We were enjoying ourselves. And now it is so bad that I don't even know where to begin. Theo, you're one of the reasons we're in this mess. You're the one who initially pitched us doing this on the Guru's page. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, so this is the deepest I've ever gotten into a season. Actually, it usually compels me in the beginning. And usually the compelling part of the other seasons, like Love Island recently, is they've had like legit stars on the show. Like last season, Huda was huge. I mean, Jeremiah is still like all over your television screens. He does ads, he's on streams. Before that, like we had Rob, who's on Traders. I just don't, besides Kada, I just don't really see anyone on this installment of Love Island being a superstar outside of the villa in the way that we've had recently.
Yeah, I don't see any stars on this cast specifically. Again, Kate is a maybe. Everyone else is like a. I'm not trying to box them into a certain archetype, but it doesn't feel like they're interesting enough for different shows. I mean, I know we talked about this off air of like not all these people should maybe be on Love Island. Like maybe somebody should be on Temptation Island. Maybe somebody should be on Too Hot to Handle. Anaya, I don't think belongs on either of those shows or this one either. So I don't know if anyone here on this cast can go to a different show, different reality TV show, and become a star like Rob did on Traders, like I think Jeremiah and Huda will on future whatever they're on. I think they'll be back on our screen shortly. But this season, and I didn't watch last season, obviously, but this season so far for me, like you guys said, it picked up early. Like I was enthralled early, like the first 7-8 episodes. And then we got to a stretch where there was like 4 or 5 episodes in a row where I was like, I'm watching the same episode over and over and over again. It was a little bit of filler, but it was a lot of just the same conversations regurgitated over and over each episode, specifically with Casey and Anaya. I was getting the same stuff every single time. And then I thought it really reeled me back in when the boys went to Casa Amore. I believe that was 3 episodes ago. But now we're back in a I don't know what I'm watching phase.
I think I blame a lot of this on the challenges too. Like the reason they are the way they are is I think when Love Island started, it was not very raunchy. Like it was very rare to kiss outside of challenges and stuff like that. So it was kind of a way to get that going. But now, like half the episode every week is just people making out. We're getting 30 minutes of making out, 30 minutes of other stuff. And they're just like, if these challenges don't exist, these people are clearly going to get intimate. People are getting fingered during bedtime. Like the show has gone off the rails. So I just feel like the 15 minutes of challenge, they're just showing people making out. I feel like that they could somehow get creative in a way that makes the audience like connect more to the characters with that time, like challenges that kind of like reveal more about who these people are. Because like these people have now been on my screen for 19 hours and I could give you like 3 facts about each person. And that even might be pushing it.
I want to start with the casting and then dive into the format complaints that you just started talking about here. I think the biggest issue is this cast sucks. And I said this incredibly early on, and I got some pushback from people around me. And perhaps it was premature, and I should have let them kind of fester into what they were going to become a little bit more. But I saw this from Jump Street, where I was like, which of these people is engaging? There's definitely some stuff early where you're like, okay, there could be something there, especially with the Sincere Melanie relationship. Like that felt like that could be box office entertainment, as ridiculous as it was. That could really divulge into something engaging throughout. And then people like Zach and Bryce were like, okay, they're more on the quiet side, but maybe they can be something. And then like Gabrielle comes in and he's absurd as far as the guys are concerned, but obviously he's not super comfortable speaking English, so we don't really see a lot of confessionals of him. And then as far as the women go, like they were a bit more tame, more down to earth as far as like Anaya and Kada are concerned. Kenzie, we never understood from the beginning, to be totally honest. And then, like, Trinity seemed like maybe there was some spunk there. There was some fire. The further we've gone throughout this season, 2 things have happened. One, everyone's become much more unlikable. And then two, everyone's become much more uninteresting because they just kept repeating themselves over and over again about these points that we don't really care about to begin with. And I think the absolute perfect example of this is Melanie and Sincere, where this relationship could have been interesting. Like it could have been. And Sincere's doing the thing where he's going behind Melanie's back and he's blatantly lying, and his hands like a butler like this the entire time. And I mean, he's getting me through the screen. I'm believing everything he's going to say. So I'm sure Melanie and Soul are as well. And then the resolution to that story is like, oops, sorry. I guess that's it now. Like, I guess I'm with Melanie. Sorry, Soul. Like, that your pistachio ice cream. I don't really care about you. I like my
He likes chocolate chip
cookie dough ice cream.
He likes cookie dough, yeah.
Much more interesting. So the entire time I'm watching that, I'm like, okay, well, we just did all that for nothing, and it was interesting, but then when you're lying to the audience, it's just not that engaging for us, because usually when you get situations like that, and we're going to cross shows here with like Survivor or Big Brother, usually that person is like letting you in on the secret. They're like, yeah, like I'm just entertaining Saul. Like it is what it is. Like I still want to be with Melanie. We didn't actually get that. So instead, what we got was this incredibly jumbled edit, which made no sense at all, because I guess Sincere makes no sense at all. And we just have to try to figure out what is happening here, when in reality, it's impossible to make sense of, because he is a dipshit. And that's just what it is at this point. So the casting has just been a total disaster. And that's just them, not to mention everyone else, where like Zach is a total bore. I can't tell you anything about KC besides the fact that he had a 100-point outing in the first Casa Amore episode. Besides that, I can't really tell you anything about the guy. Corbin's more entertaining now, but he's still a bot. Like he's just running the same playbook with new women who are there to basically be the tempter. So they're going to eat it up more than these women who are already established, the OGs, would have. And then as far as the ladies, they're all just losing their minds because they had to watch their guys on the big screen fondle all these women coming out in ridiculous costumes. So that's basically where we're at with his cast, where we said it earlier in one of our group chats. We're like, who is coming out of this better than they came in? We were like, maybe Trinity, because she's working at Home Depot. So I think she could get a step up here. Kata for sure. Maybe KC can get some more guys in his run club. But outside of that, pretty much everyone is either a bore, making a fool of themselves, or a combination of both. Theo, I know you had some thoughts.
Yeah, I almost want like more transparency about it being like a competitive game show, because this seems like a cast where a lot of people are playing the game. I think there's like 3 reasons people come to Love Island. I think number 1 is they're trying to like be famous, grow a following. Number 2 is to try to win the show to get 100,000. And I think there's a very off chance of a couple people that are like actually here to try to find someone that they think that they can date. But this cast, I think, is mostly people that are trying to game the show and get the money, which the way to do that is you have to be in a couple. Like, they don't really let you, like, there's all this stuff about, like, being around and, like, exploring, but you have to be coupled up in order to advance in the show and get to the end. And so I think there's a lot of people that are, like, faking interest to stay in a couple, or, like, now they think their couple is a good story, so they're going to try to ride that out to the end. Like, I almost wish they would, like, kind of let us in on the competitive aspect, because it's, like, ignored completely. Like, everyone is supposed to kind of get in and pretend that they're there to find love, and then use the same buzzwords over and over again. That, like, they just have to say explore and connect 100 times an episode. But I think when it boils down to it, like, Melanie and Sincere, I think, like, that was a clear, like, game plan. Now they're back together. I think, like, Sincere, like, that's going to be the story. Like, we went through this, we're back. Like, he's going to ride that out. I think, like, Kata and Zach are both game planning heavily. I think Kate is kind of playing into how much he likes Zach. Zach's been, like, going up to these, like, couples that look good and, like, starting fires and then running away. So I like gameplay on TV, but it's like they kind of have to like hide and tiptoe around it. I almost wish it was like kind of out in the.
Yeah, this cast, for the most part, has kind of lost me over the season. Like I said on the first episode, I was like, I don't love the cast, but the bombshells will be good. The bombshells will be good. And then the bombshells they brought in, for the most part, have been really boring. Like Gabe, all he wanted to do was stick his tongue down people's throats. Corbin, for the most part, was a bot. I think he's got a new installation update. The last few episodes, he's no longer just a bot. I think he's actually, he's expanding his game. The other boy bombshell was Caleb, who kind of was played by a fiddle with Kenzie, and Kenzie, who's not lustful apparently. But the girl bombshells again, Kata was a hit. I think the other ones have been total flops. I mean, Soul, didn't really have much of a chance. She got played by Sincere, and then Jen has bored me from the first episode she came in, and she's still boring to me. I don't even know. I actually forgot she was there. I just have her on my sheet here. I guess Jen is still in the game, but overall, most of them have lost me. The bombshell hit rate has not been good. That's why I actually kind of like Corbin. As far as like people who have been losing me throughout the season, Corbin's the opposite. I was over Corbin the first episode I saw him, and now I think he's been one of the more improved players. If we're going to talk competitively, I think he's one of the more improved players of the season, because he kind of did what you said, Theo. He kind of just let loose. He was like, yeah, if these Casa Amore girls were the first ones we saw, I would have just been with them. Like, I was playing Kenzie. Like, he's just again, it's not necessarily like the best thing to say, but Kenzie saw him on screen be like, yeah, I'm leaving Kenzie. Like, I'm out of here. So he's like, we're seeing more of him now actually like playing, talking open, like, and just being like loosen up. So I think we're seeing a different version of him. And Caleb, I'm rooting for him. Casey has not yet lost me. But the Sincere Melanie thing, I mean, goodness, you kind of hit most of it, X. It's toxic. I think it's at this point, it's basically a lock that they're going to end this thing together. I don't think America's going to vote for them to win this thing. But I think that it's pretty obvious that Melanie is not leaving Sincere for anybody, and Sincere is not leaving Melanie for anybody. As much as he wants to lead other girls on and use his metaphors and his analogies, I think it's pretty obvious that Melanie is his chocolate chip cookie dough, and he will always go with chocolate chip cookie dough. Casey and Anaya, that one to me, I just got so bored of it. More so on Anaya's end, because she just kept saying the same things over and over again. She was like, Casey, do you want to explore Soul? Do you want to explore? And then he said, yeah, I'll explore, but you're my number one option. Kept kind of beating her over the head with that. And yet we just got like 4 straight episodes of it. It was so strange, and I was just so bored. So I actually like them both more now with their new Casa Amore flings, I guess. Although Carl is boring too. And by the way, all 12 men they brought in, what did they go, 1 for 12? 0 for 12? I mean, that was a rough one. I mean, all 12 of them were just, we got Tino Ellis on there. I don't know how he made it on the show, but for the most part, the men were chopped. I say that with all due respect. And then the bombshell women, I mean, this Chase Corbin, they're both going after Parmita. There's not that many interesting storylines with that either. So I don't know. I need to pick it up tomorrow night.
I want to jump in here, and that's one of the other format issues that I kept complaining about. So this show just doesn't know what it wants to be, because it obviously at least has a little influence from your Temptation Islands of the world. And then there's a little influence of being on NBC/Peacock and wanting to make it some sort of like game show element to compete with like your Survivor, your Big Brother, your other summer shows of that nature, where I'm watching Love Island and I'm like, okay, so I understand there's a prize at the end. But when you're mixing and matching these original people with the bombshells, with the Casa Amore folks as well, and I presume we're going to get more people along the way, right? Like, we're not done quite yet bringing in new people. It's just too much. Like, I just don't know what we're trying to do. And I think right now, if you just look at the landscape, we have 24 people. That's just too many for halfway through the show. That's just way too many people to remember their backgrounds with, and new people coming in that you don't have pre-existing relationships with. Some of the OGs have already been kind of like lost along the way. We had Sean obviously eliminated immediately, then Bea there. And then Gabe felt like an OG because he was an original bombshell and he was supposed to be on the original cast until someone got axed for saying the N-word, yet we're keeping someone else around who has said the N-word. Like, there's just so much happening at one time that it's impossible to keep track of, where if we just did the format of we have these 12 people or whatever start the show, we do the thing where, we're voting some people out, we're letting them choose some people out, whatever, and then we're mixing in some bombshells, and then Casa Amore is almost like a strip club in a way, where like there's these people that are out, but you have to like almost intentionally choose for them to enter the cast. So that way you're not just forcing all these new people on. That could be interesting. And then we wouldn't have 24 names to remember. And we'd be like, okay, now we're actually testing these groups. Or I even said in a text thread, like, what if the guys went to Casa Amore for 24 hours? They came back. They had to face the repercussions of that. And then you saw how the girls responded for their trip to Casa Amore. There's just so many avenues that we could have got to instead of what we've just had to sit through, which is basically 3 episodes where all these storylines aren't necessarily progressing the way we want because they're separated and it's with people we just met 20 seconds ago who we know really nothing about, and we barely know anything about the people that we're supposed to care about anyway.
Real quick, the one thing I did like though, and Theo, correct me if I'm wrong here, when they did go to Casa Amore, the boys, I did like that the girls actually got to see what it was like that they're doing so that they could then react themselves and go. And now it's like, okay, everyone go explore. Because you just saw all the guys were like, basically like they left their couple at the door. They're like, we're going to go explore these 6 women that came in. I like that the girls were at least able to see that so that they know, okay, the gloves are off. Have they done that before in the past, or because this is my first Casa Amore experience, I don't know if they
the showing them that was a new thing.
That was a new thing. Okay,
but it was stolen directly from another show. But it was the best thing they've done all season. But
that's Temptation Island. Like 100%.
I enjoyed that. Okay, I did like that. But I think the actual format of it could change. But I did like that if they're going to do Casa Amore, let's let them see it and then face the repercussions of it. That's the one thing they didn't do. But at the very least, whenever they do come back to the island, the villa that is, from Casa Amore, they're going to have to answer, or at least Corbin and Casey and a few others are going to have to answer for what they saw on that big screen TV.
There will be a wrinkle later. This is actually a good original Love Island wrinkle, is they do this thing called movie night. And if someone's been like lying a ton and their partner like hasn't picked up on it, like they will show them all the clips during this movie night event. So like that clip, like if Casey goes back with Anaya, they'll show her the clip where he's like, we have nothing in common. Or like, so like that's actually a good thing. That'll be an entertaining episode later in the season. Something I wanted to go off about though, just from like seeing like the Love Island community, like it's been on my feed a lot. And these are people surprisingly that really want to like relate and like identify with people on the cast, which is like incredibly hard because the people on the cast, they're not like regular people at all. First of all, they're not doing anything important in their lives because they're able to leave whatever they're doing to like sequester in Fiji for weeks with a chance of like maybe going on the show. Like those bombshells, those 6 guys that They were sequestered for probably 3 weeks in Fiji and didn't get a confessional. So like all these people are doing that same risk. So none of them are wildly successful professionals to begin with. And then they're just going on this show on national TV. Their family's going to see this. Their friends are going to see this. And they're comfortable with making out with 12 different people. Like doing like these are not normal people. And it's just weird to me. Like I am enjoying like watching these people and trying to analyze what they're doing, but this like the way the Love Island community like wants to like relate with all these people and like think that they're like them and that they think similar to the audience so they know what these people want. Like these people are all nuts. Like they are not like you average Joe watching at home.
No, they're not good. And I think what you're talking about is the parasocial relationships where they're like almost like whatever they do, I can like the defenders, the fan clubs, these people that are like nonstop, like they actually, because I think the feed that I'm on, people are treating it like a sport almost. They're like analyzing these players' performances and the relationships and the conversations and the dialogue. Whereas then you'll go to a different feed and a different, and it's like it's a totally different way of watching the show. I'm watching the show and I'm just like, again, if you're taking it seriously to the point of like I have to like live through this person. I have to live vicariously through this person. I think that's probably the wrong way to do it. I mean, I'm not necessarily like, criticizing you if you do, but I just think right now I'm watching it just for like the sheer comedic purposes of it. And then like, comparing it to like a sporting event or another reality TV show event where I can kind of just analyze how we were going through this game.
I think one of the interesting things for me is like, why can't we just say it how it is? Like these people are a hop and a skip away from like an OnlyFans model. Like that's what it is. Let's just call it how we see it. That's what we're witnessing, especially this season. Because yesterday, especially during the challenges, which I wanted to bring up, I know Theo touched upon it and we've been talking about it off air a lot. The challenge format makes no sense because it doesn't progress anything at all. And that's where I'm like, okay, what are we trying to be here? Are we trying to be akin to Temptation Island, or are we trying to make it more of a game show? Because right now they're trying to blend the two and it just doesn't work. because these challenges are a big waste of time. And occasionally, ever so occasionally, you do get some cracks forming based off the answers, which is a common format in the challenges where they have to answer a question. But even those tend to just be the same things phrased differently, reiterated over and over again. And it usually takes 2 or 3 negative answers to even make a small enough dent in anything. And really, the only 2 challenges I can think that mattered a ton were one of the first ones where I believe it was Corbin was introduced, where Sincere was taking a bit too many liberties, kissing some of the other folks in the boardroom there, like the outside boardroom with all the paint. He was getting a little too handsy, and that caused an issue. And then the answer that Zach provided to Anaya and KC, that kind of, from the edit, it portrayed that sparked something negative in that relationship, as Theo alluded to, where Zach just has made some of these offhanded comments to these folks that has caused some issues. But like, we don't need a challenge for that to occur. We can just do that in another format where it's not necessarily a challenge, but it's more so like a roundtable discussion. Or it is a challenge, but there's actually something on the line. Like, hey, we're going to do this challenge. Whoever, quote unquote, wins the challenge gets to stay in that room by themselves, or they get to see something exclusive about some of the other housemates that maybe they can use to their advantage in some way, shape, or form. They get to spend 24 hours outside of the villa. Like, there's so many ways to do this. Instead, we do this comp. Sometimes it's literally formatted like it's a competition where they're trying to race each other, but there's nothing on the line. Like the World Cup one, I get it. Brand synergy, Telemundo has the World Cup. That's an NBC property. Trust me, I understand. But what was the point of all of that? It was supposed to be funny. It wasn't. It was supposed to be grotesque. You succeeded there, I suppose, but I just don't understand the actual purpose of any of these.
One of them, I think one of the challenges, it was like you said, the same question is just phrased differently. Like one of them was like, who's playing it safe in the villa? And I think maybe KC was the answer for that one. And then the other one was like, who's got it in the bag? Like, I think these are just like the same things. Just like, I get that the point is you're trying to make it to where one of the questions and whoever gets picked as the answer for the question, you're supposed to like spark a little bit of a tiff with your couple. Like the first one, I think it was the second episode where they pushed somebody in the pool for whoever the embarrassing story was about, like Trinity giving head in a car, Sincere cheating on whoever, texting 2 people at the same time. Like, I guess that all these embarrassing facts that I feel like most people have done, not the cheating on people, but I feel like most of the embarrassing facts that they had to unveil, like, I guess the whole point is like, is 1 or 2 of them bad enough to where it's gonna be a red flag for the other person in the relationship. But right now we've gotten to the point, like, how we had like 6 or 7 challenges in the 18 episodes that we've had, and none of them really feel like we're progressing anything. Like, we're not actually creating that much drama. Like last night's challenge really lost me for the most part. Like, I didn't know what the actual point of it. I get the format is you're going against your other couple. So it was like Kata with Che, I believe his name is, and she had to go against Zach and Alana. I think the point is, okay, like, whoever makes out more removes their clothes, or it's I guess the producers pick who win, whatever. I don't really know what, like, is it supposed to make the other person jealous? Like, I know Sincere was like, who is Corey and Melanie? Like, I just lost to the Corey and Melanie, but like, I don't really understand the point of the challenge unless it's just to make somebody else jealous and maybe something like that. But I think that right now we're getting to the point where all these challenges more or less are not really progressing the show. And we're actually getting more dialogue and more interesting dialogue away from the challenges.
Yeah, because everyone's kissed everyone by now. I mean, that's even like what they do on. You bring in a new bombshell, all right, you now make out with everyone immediately. So like we're not getting any like sparks coming out of like a kiss in the challenge. Like everyone's kissed everyone.
Yeah.
And then it almost feels like it's an artificial way to create drama, but it's not even like the best way to do it, because they'll have like the guys would be like, we picked this person as this. Like, I remember they picked KC, and then like Anaya was like, well, why do you think they picked you for this? Like, I would almost rather that progress naturally, where like they have a conversation, or like KC somehow like says something stupid, but it's like weird to me when it's like, now I feel like this arose out of nothing because like they picked you for this question in a challenge that they had to pick someone for, and whoever they picked was like gonna get into a fight.
Literally nothing. And by the way, I think the other characters on the show. Like I think Anaya sometimes are taking these challenges, these answers too literally. She's like, well, what was the rationale behind that? And some of them is just like, there not even is a rationale. I think the one where Soul got pied like 5 times, like that was a bit off putting. But I think some of them, they didn't even have a rationale for doing it. They were just like, well, we'll just pie Soul. I don't know. We already did it before. So I think that some of them like whenever Casey gets picked for an answer and Anaya's like, I wonder why they picked you for that. Like, let me talk to them first. Let me talk to you next. And it's like, I just don't think it really matters at the end of the day. Like they can just have a conversation naturally and that can come up. But the fact that we have to do a challenge and have some weird answer that's phrased differently, but kind of the same way, I just think that that's not really important.
Mike, by the way, if there was a producer here, they'd be like, oh, yeah, that's kind of the point. But I guess our pushback would be she's the only one it's working on.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really elicit the proper reaction. Like, I know she has some loyal fans. But at the end of the day, when I'm watching this, and I think most sane people are watching this, you're like, she's means too well for this show. Like, she just does, and it's almost sad because I'm like,
Yeah.
why are you here if you're taking it this seriously and this literally? It almost makes me feel bad in a way that I don't for anyone else. And again, the whole point of when you do these things is to elicit emotions. And, you know, I guess they would like to garner these fan bases to make them prominent online and cause discussion. And we understand all of that. The ratings were up big time at the beginning of the season. The show is just really taken a whole second life and popularity here in the States. But I don't think this formula is set to last the way they're doing it right now. I feel like they're losing people in droves. And again, part of that is I think this cast was lackluster from the get-go. But the more serious issue is the format between the challenges, between the way Casa Amore was implemented, between the way the bombshells come in. But especially this season, Theo was kind of right. Like everyone was trying to play the game of the show, but that meant that the bombshells never really had a fair shake. It just doesn't really last for as long as they want it to last. The last few seasons have gone 37 episodes. I believe one of them went 38. We're halfway in, so we're equal parts to the beginning of the season as to the end. It feels like the wheels have already fallen off. Like, I actually don't understand how we're going to get 18 more episodes out of this show. I just can't even fathom it. And part of that is because it's probably too long to begin with. But secondly, it's just not, there's no cohesion behind what they're trying to do. So it doesn't make any rational sense.
I was going to say, so we're at the halfway point now, presumably. My sister kept texting me and saying there's still a long way to go, so things can change. But I just personally think, like, at this point, I think I can predict which couples are going to remain together no matter what anyone else throws at them. Like, I don't know what else. Maybe there is a movie night that could be, come up and be, it possibly get messy for one or two couples. But I'm pretty sure Bryce and Trinity are going to continue to, have their relationship because I don't think any of these new bombshells, whether it's on Casa Amore or just a bombshell in general, I don't think any of them really want Bryce. They don't want Bryce's attention. I think Trinity, same thing. Like, I don't think Trinity really has the eyes for anyone else specifically. Even if they have her type to a T in here, it feels like her and Bryce are just going to be together. Same thing with Sincere and Melanie. So I think even with 18 or 19 episodes left to go, I think I can predict which couple is going to stay together. And I honestly think I can predict which couple will win the show. I think I know what America likes right now. And maybe half the season left, things can change. I'm not going to, stamp it in, but it feels like to me what we've seen so far is what we've seen. I don't think that there's going to be anything too crazy, too monumental changing.
It seems like, yeah, like Bryce and Trinity are probably going to win the show.
Yeah.
I think Trinity's a good character. I enjoy her, but like the story of their relationship to me is that just they've been together because they haven't been desired by anybody else. Like they coupled up initially, and then like Trinity left to go on the 2-on-1 with Gabe,
Yeah.
and then Bryce went on the 2-on-1 with Zach and Kata, and then they didn't get picked there, so they went back together. And then there's just kind of been like no tension on the relationship, and it just kind of like started down here. And they're both like quirky, like fun people. So I guess like on this cast, maybe they are the best. But it's just like even then, like it seems pretty obvious from now that they're gonna win the show. And even like, what do we know about them like as a couple? Like, what are their shared interests?
Not much.
There's another thing too that you didn't mention there, and it's this like weird, uncomfortable thing both of them have sort of alluded to, but have yet to say out loud, where they're like kind of scared the other person is of a different race, which would make sense if it was like 1965, or if they were on a show where there wasn't a ton of other like opposite race couples happening at the same exact time. So every time they say that, I'm like, I guess. Like, I don't know. Like, I sure. I don't know. Like Corbin and Kenzie were together for a while. Like they didn't say that. And I'm not trying to like make fun of their fears or anything, but it's weird. I think it's to like garner sympathy, and it feels like super producer planted to me. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I'm not there.
Yeah.
But it just feels very odd. That's the best way to describe it.
I don't want to say it's performative on either of their parts because
It feels a little that way though, doesn't it? Because it's like it
yeah.
only matters when the other person isn't around, and it's at random points, and it seems to not matter for a while, then it matters again, then it doesn't matter for a while, then it matters again, and then Trinity says something along the lines of like, "What if he finds like a white girl?" Basically, is what she said, and I'm like, why does that matter? Like
But then
I don't know.
Yeah, but then in the same breath, she also said when they were watching the TV, she said, "Oh, they found a duplicate of me." They also found a duplicate of me. So she was like, "Oh, like, I don't know. It's a little strange." I think you're right with the with both of them being at a crossroads for the exact same reason, kind of. But to me, their progression as a like, I think they're both going to be good friends out of here. I don't know how they're going to work I have no idea. I really don't because I don't know much about them. Like Theo said, we maybe know like 3 things about them. I don't think for me personally, they kind of bore me a little bit. I do think I actually like Trinity as a character. Bryce is funny. He's just not my cup of tea personally as a character. Them together, I guess they work, but to me, it just feels like more friends, and maybe they do have feelings for each other. Maybe I'm way off. I could be very wrong. I think they're gonna win the show anyways. But to me, I'm more for the not toxic, but I just want to see things progress a little bit faster than the way they've progressed. They haven't like Theo said, they kind of came together because neither of them were the desired one in the in the crossroads. Whenever a new bombshell walks in, they have eyes for somebody else. Whenever it's Casa Amore, they have eyes for somebody else. So it just feels like it's not necessarily they're the last option. It's just that they're maybe their best only option per se. So I think they work. I just think to me, if that's the most interesting couple, it's not to me personally.
Yeah, and I just want to bring up because this was so weird when they were like kind of going, and then Bryce like all of a sudden out of nowhere was like, "I need to talk to Kata. I need to pull Kata for a chat." I thought that was like so obviously that like production told him he needed to do that. So when like this is your best couple on the show and like production thinks that they need to like intervene to try to like stir up some drama that then like literally led to nothing because it was like laughable to Kata that like Bryce would even be interested, which is why I feel like he's a good guy. He's a bad character for the show because he's been like a punching bag, I feel like, in all these scenarios when these are like supposed to be like, I don't know, just like elite, you know, great looking, like flawless men and women. Like, I don't know.
I also think it's telling that they seem so into each other, and then one of these random things just occurs to make us like seem like there's doubt there. But then seconds later, they're just super into each other again. So why would I believe they're not super into each other all the time? It's dumb because it's like they're super into each other. Then we get one of them saying like, I don't know, I've never been with someone like that before. Then they're super into each other. Then they're like, I'm not sure. I don't know. And then they're super into each other. So what are we led to believe besides the fact that they're just into each other and that's that? It feels like that's too simple. This is Love Island, and we need a little bit of drama here, there, and everywhere. That way we're supposed to be off the beaten path, I guess, which is just going to be them being together at the end of the show.
I think it's just more so like I think that we both like them as characters. I'm not saying we as all three of us. I think this America likes both of them as characters. And I think the other couples you look at, I think the majority of people like Kata, can't stand Zach or just find Zach boring. I think with the Casey and Nia thing, it's kind of split. Some people really defend Casey and like Casey and his actions, and some people really like Nia and her actions, but it's not necessarily both of them at the same time. Sincere and Melanie have their own defenders on social media platforms, and then no one really likes Kenzie from what I've gathered. I mean, there's some people out there, and then Corbin, same thing. So I think just by sheer nature of like people both like them individually, now they're together, and I think they're gonna win the show that way. But there's other couples that I am preferably more interested in than them right now because of the slow progression, because of the roller coaster, like you mentioned, of like they're into each other, then it's like weird crossroad, and like I think Melanie and Sincere are so much more toxic, but I think I'm more interested in their conversations than I am in how they progress and how they kind of lie to each other sometimes. I think I'm more interested in that than I am with the whole Bryce and Trinity like on and off thing.
I think one of the telling things is like if you look hard enough, you can find defenders of any of these people anywhere.
Yeah.
The Kenzie noise is really quieted down. I think that is the biggest miscast I can remember because I know what they were going for. They just chose a 1 out of 10 version of what they were going for. And I'm not saying that looks wise. I mean like the type of person they tried to cast there, which is a cliche, which they were trying to do with all these people, by the way. That's how reality TV works. But just a total misfire. And honestly, same with Melanie. Like Melanie really had her defenders early on, and even that noise, from what I've personally seen, has quieted down. I feel like there's a strong Kata army. The Anaya, Zach, and KC all being like split has really helped things. Where
Yeah.
like people don't really like Zach, but some people like his brother enough that they're just blindly defending him. And then the Anaya, KC, just like their actions, as you said, like people are on both sides of that. Everyone else isn't really getting traction anymore. Like Corbin a little bit here and there, like
By the way, we haven't even
maybe
brought up.
Caleb here and there.
Yeah, I was gonna say. By the way, we haven't even brought up Jen because I don't even think they know she's on the show. Like,
I forgot she was on the show.
I know,
Like,
apparent-
I forget she's there. Who is
Yeah.
she? What is she doing?
apparently there was a scene of her and Gall last night that was like 3 or 4 minutes. That made the episode. I think it could have just not made the episode. And
Yeah, that guy's name was cooler than anything he or her provided. But
I don't remember a
my
single thing he
general
said.
point, Mike, is like the show's just losing steam, and it's kind of their fault at the end of the day. Like, I don't know how they're going to try to get this back on the tracks. I think it's irreparable. I think maybe Bryce and Trinity could just like be decent enough people their way to the end, like and get in a to be original by the time this show wraps up, and they can be happily ever after with Bryce's 7 side jobs, and then Trinity either going back to
Ace Hardware.
Home Depot or getting
Right.
some brand deals here now that you would Love Island, some beauty brands or something of the sort. But any final thoughts here as we wrap up, Theo?
Yeah, I hope this post Casa like meetup can give us a second wind. I don't know. There just hasn't been enough craziness. Like these people are nuts, but they've also kind of taken in things in a more rational way than we're used to seeing. So I don't know what production can do at this point to blow things up. But yeah, I mean this is the longest they've kept me for a season. I guess I'll keep watching if we plan to keep talking about it. But yeah, they've been definitely losing steam is the correct phrase to use.
I think the cast being this bad actually has kept me intrigued. I just want to see how bad it's going to continue to get from a cast standpoint. I think, and again, like I think I've actually enjoyed Corbin more when he's without Kenzie. Like I can't believe we got to a point in the season where I can't believe I'm doing this full 180 on like I actually think I'm rooting for Corbin, not of everybody else. No, I don't think he's like my top or anything, but I think I'm rooting for him more now than I was whenever he was with Kenzie. You know, they were DJing and whatever the heck they were doing. I don't know. It's to me, I'm hoping that we get a last 18 episode. I hope we get something interesting. I hope we get a Casey and Anaya, like something resolution there, whether whether she brings back Carl and he brings back Tiara, Zach and Kate. I hope that there's something there at the end. I don't know if it's going to last or whatever, but I just want resolutions because right now I feel like we're getting majorly the same episodes. And I think Casa Amore should be a good experience to see, okay, which one of these relationships actually last, but it feels like a lot of them are playing it safe right now. So I think right now I'm still intrigued. I have people I'm rooting for, but that's dwindling by the day. That number keeps dwindling. I was remember Theo, when we did this 2 weeks ago, we were rooting for Sincere.
Yeah.
Where are we at on that? I don't know. I mean, it's right now we're losing people fast. I'm rooting for Kato. I don't know.
Somehow I'm rooting for Corbin. That guy is the only one that elicits like a positive reaction out of me. Like now just watching him kind of do the same thing over and over again, it's just like making me laugh at this point. So I'm kind of just pro Corbin. I hope he just keeps coming in, or I hope new girls keep coming in for Caleb, and I just want Corbin to just steal them every time. I think that's my favorite part of the show
Caleb.
right now.
Poor guy Caleb. Oh man.
Fellow RA. I mean, I hope he wasn't doing that at the group meetings and all, but you know, he's doing it on Love Island, so it's enjoyable enough. I think yesterday was the first time it was like, I don't know if I can keep watching this anymore. Like some of these challenges just
The
make my
licking
skin
challenge?
crawl, and it makes me like reevaluate everything I'm doing after that. I think the most enjoyment I'm finding out of things right now is talking about it with the people around me. Like
Yeah.
that is what's keeping me going. The show itself kind of sucks right now, but the conversation around it is so engaging that we get at least like an hour a day just in our group chats talking about it.
I was just gonna say that X. I'm when I'm watching the show, I'm on my phone and I'm texting whatever group chat I'm in more so than I am watching the show because I think the dialogue around the show is actually more interesting. Like we were talking last night during the episode. I don't know if we were on the same exact point, but the licking challenge, I was like, when they got to the nibble portion, I was like, they're nibbling in some places that you probably shouldn't be on live television. Not necessarily live television, but it's just, you know, it kind of, it was almost like, I was like, I kind of am out of here right now. Let's just get to the end of this episode. But it was still like the dialogue around it is so funny. Like I'm texting other people about it. And I think when I go on social media, go open Twitter, like I find myself laughing and smiling and enjoying the reactions to the show that we're all watching.
I don't know where we're going to go from here, but I will be
Mm.
excited to find out. When things occur, you guys will hear it from us first. This is the first stop in our Guru Summer, so please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. For Theo, for Mike, I am X. We are the Gurus. We will be on your feeds much more often. We will see you next time. Peace.